Hello there, this is the World News at 12 on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. My name is Chioma Innocent, and here are the top stories. North Korea, Russia joined China's military parade against the US. Police arrest Lakurawa bandit as troop killed 20 terrorists across Northeast. President Tinubu confirms plan to establish state police. And Hadi Sirika claims Nigeria air project not a scam. Due process followed. Details now. Thank you for staying tuned. The World News at 12 begins on the foreign scene, where China's President Xi Jinping has unveiled laser weapons, nuclear ballistic missiles and giant underwater drones at a massive military parade 80 years on from the country's victory over Japan in World War II. Russia's Vladimir Putin and North Korea's Kim Jong-un joined Xi Jinping along with dozens of other heads of state and only two Western leaders. Meeting on the sidelines, Kim tells Putin it's North Korea's fraternal duty to help Russia. The country has already sent weapons and troops to Ukraine. Meanwhile, Donald Trump, who was not at the parade, berated the Chinese president on social media, saying, "Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America." End quote. Back home in Nigeria, the Kebbi State Police Command has arrested a suspected member of the Lakurawa bandit group and recovered 10 rusted cows in the Bachaka community, Bunza local government area. Police spokesperson CSP Nafiu Abubakar said in a statement that the suspect, identified as 42-year-old Salihu Umar from Dugundutse in Niger Republic, was apprehended at the Bachaka cattle market on August 31. He added that efforts were underway to track down other fleeing members of the gang and recover the remaining stolen cattle. The police commissioner urged residents to remain vigilant and provide timely information to security agencies to aid ongoing operations against banditry in the state. Meanwhile, troops of Operation Hadinkai have killed more than 20 terrorists during a series of raids on their hideouts across the northeast. The week-long offensives carried out between August 23 and August 30 also led to the arrest of several logistics suppliers and collaborators. Arms, ammunition, and materials linked to bomb making were also recovered. According to a post shared on X by a security source, the operations were conducted in parts of Borno and Yobe State with support from the air component and local security groups. In a recent development, President Bola Tinubu declared that the creation of state police has become unavoidable as part of efforts to strengthen the fight against insecurity across the country. Speaking at the presidential villa in Abuja while receiving a delegation of prominent Katsina indigents led by Governor Diko Rada, the president directed security agencies to reassess their strategies in Katsina State, which has been hard hit by banditry. President Tinubu disclosed that more advanced military equipment, including drones and surveillance technology, would be deployed alongside enhanced training for newly recruited forest guards. The president revealed that he had instructed security chiefs to brief him daily on operations in Katsina. The president reminded the delegation that in February 2024, the federal government set up a committee to design the framework for state policing. Although the initiative has drawn widespread support, Vice President Kashim Shettima had disclosed in March that 20 states were yet to submit their reports. The Buhari Organization, TBO, the political structure that birthed the defunct Congress for Progressive Change, CPC, has formally endorsed President Bola Tinubu for a second term in office ahead of the 2027 general election led by former Nasarawa State Governor Senator Tanko Al-Makura. Members of the group visited the president at the State House Abuja on Tuesday, where they pledged the unwavering loyalty of the CPC bloc within the All Progressives Congress, APC. Al-Makura, who spoke on behalf of the delegation, commended Tinubu's leadership in navigating economic challenges, sustaining national stability, and preserving the legacy of their late mentor, former President Muhammad Buhari. He stressed that the CPC family, including ex-governors, ministers, lawmakers, women leaders, and party executives, would mobilize across the country to secure Tinubu's re-election in 2027. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, also reaffirmed the bloc's solidarity, insisting that over 90% of CPC's pioneer leaders remain united and loyal. He praised the president for honoring Buhari's memory and assured him of unconditional support. In a recent development, former Aviation Minister Hadi Sirika has dismissed claims that the Air Nigeria project conceptualized by former President Muhammadu Buhari's administration was a scam. Sirika, who was a two-term minister, stated this during a Monitor television program, saying the government followed due process. Let's take a listen to him while speaking on this development.
For information, first of all, what you do know, I'm sure, that is a public-private partnership which was regulated by ICRC, the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, who gave certificates of the OBC and the ABC, who participated actively in the process. It is not our process, it is a process of ICRC, and it is not a bad deal. And I read on the papers that we spent, or I spent 100 billion or thereabout, and it's lost in the process, which is a lie. I did say in 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23, the total budget for the national carrier was 5 billion. The total amount released was 3 billion. And I left there with over 1 billion naira. And the monies, the about 2 billion that was spent, nearly a third of it went to the consultancy, i.e. the business case, which is OBC, the FBC, and so many other consultancies that were given during that time. And the balance of the money, of course, are salaries of the staff that were here. By the way, the total amount released was 3 billion. Every single state, and I left there with over 1 billion naira. And the monies about, and we had an airline. Some people went to court. Mrs. Airpeace, United, and Azman went to court to say that we cannot, as a government, establish an airline where we'll take a stake of 5%. And that is what's told it. If there was no court case, and if the government that came in had pursued the court case, by today we'll have the airline. And talking about Ethiopian Airline, I did say, look, 95% of all airlines that are operating within Africa are non-Africans. They are the Emirates, the Qatar, the British Airways, Air France, etc., etc. Except for Ethiopian Airlines. And these people have been for 79 years running the airline. They have made a statement of how to run an airline. They are African. And they came to partner with us to be able to open up the world for us. Today, the price of ticket out of Abuja to London is more expensive than the ticket from Accra to London. And the reason is because we do not have a strong, formidable airline with the capacity to continue to do so. We've seen Airpeace before. We've seen like Azman before. We've seen them. When I say we've seen them, we've seen Cabo, which was bigger, much bigger than all of them. We've seen Okada, which is much bigger. We've seen ADC. We've seen Arik. We've seen them. And they've came and gone. And what is amiss is that the capacity that they need to build to compete with people who have 250 million airplanes. I don't think an airline that has 1, 2, 3, 4, even 5 aircraft that are old can compete in the global market with the well-established carriers that have 250 airplanes and expect to operate and make business and make profits. So to sum it up, all that we did to establish the Nigeria Air would taken it to the final step before these people now went to court, number one. Number two, there is no fraud. If there is fraud, by now they would have said it. And if the minister is saying, I don't want to join issues with him, because that may go into what they're claiming to go to court, on. But if he's saying it's a bad deal, Nigerians should invoke the Freedom of Information Act, which is in place, to go to the Ministry of Aviation, where the gentleman sits as the minister, and get the documents, and go to also ICRC and get the documents, and establish where the fraud is. They should go and establish where the fraud. There's no fraud. It's a lie. And this airline, whether it is done now or in the future, it will come to become. Because we didn't arrogate to ourselves the knowledge of aviation alone. Those who trained us are alive. But what we did is that I personally invited, and also officially through the official channels, invited Mrs. Airpeace, Mrs. Azman, Mrs. Arik, all of them, to come and join and buy shares of that carrier and own it. And go into joint venture with either, at the time we're thinking of Qatar, we're thinking of Lufthansa, and we're thinking of Ethiopian Airlines. But when the bid happened transparently, to which some of those airlines participated in the bid up in Isho, Ethiopian Airlines won. And they won fair and square. And it's not our process. It's the process of ICRC. They should go and ask ICRC whether there's corruption or bad deal in it. And the documents are there. When people have opportunities to come to press and talk, talk is cheap. But the reality, the truth, is deposited in the records of government, in ICRC.
That was Hadi Sirika, former aviation minister under the administration of late former President Muhammadu Buhari, talking on Nigeria Air and saying it was not a scam. You will recall that Nigeria Air was launched at the tail end of Buhari's administration, with many describing the exercise as a fraud. This was despite opposition from domestic operators under the aegis of the Airline Operators of Nigeria, AON, who have sued the federal government over the project. Since leaving office in 2023, the former minister is currently facing trial for alleged corruption and abuse of office. The federal government has announced that Friday, September 5, 2025, will be a public holiday to mark Eid al-Mawlid, the birth of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. This was confirmed in a statement signed by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Interior, Dr. Magdalene Ajani, on Tuesday in Abuja. According to the statement, the Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubunmi Tunjiojo, extended warm greetings to Muslims in Nigeria and across the world. He urged the Muslim Ummah to emulate the Prophet's virtues of peace, love, humility, tolerance, and compassion, stressing that these values are crucial to building a united and progressive nation. Now joining me to discuss issues on the World News at 12, I have Mr. Lawal Ekundayo. He is a public, political, and national affairs analyst, as well as an educator. Thank you for joining me today. Good afternoon, sir.
Hello, good afternoon.
Mr. Lawal Ekundayo, can you hear me properly?
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you so much for joining the conversation. We have quite a lot to discuss today, so let's get right into it. Can you hear me, Mr. Lawal Ekundayo?
Yes, I can hear you.
Beautiful. Let's actually begin with President Tinubu confirming that there are plans to establish state police. He was speaking while receiving a delegation of some indigenes of Katsina State. We know how Katsina State has been ravaged by banditry and terrorism in recent times. It got to the point where in a community they had to sign a peace pact with the bandits. And after signing the peace pact with the bandits and their representatives, members of the community were taking selfies with the bandits as if they were celebrities, and the bandits were going on, they were just moving around the village on their motorcycles, showing off their guns and their weapons to try to tell the people that, look, we are now in a peace pact with you. President Tinubu says plans are underway to establish state police, but in March, Vice President Kashim Shettima told us that 20 states are yet to submit their report. Is it now the states that are against state policing, and what do you make of this whole conversation?
Yes, thank you for having me. Now, let's face the truth. Yes, this issue of state police have been on ground for a long time. So for the president to be saying it, I don't know why he's mentioning it. He's supposed to have been taking actions on it. And second, before you can operate a state police, you must first of all operate resource control. Because if you operate state police without states operating their resource control, there will be issue, because you find that the federal government will be burdened with the responsibility of funding or operating the state police. They will still be the one funding again, and there will be a lot of pressure on Nigerians. Now, why do we need to do the two? The two has to go together. In fact, the resource control must come first before the state police. First thing is that like a place like a densely populated area will need more police than a less dense area. So a less dense area now, whatever they generate is what they are going to use to support sustain their state police. While in an area where is densely populated, whatever they generate in that place as tax or whatever is what they will use to sustain and run the state police. That's why both of them have to go together. Now, for example, Lagos State now, you are going to require more police in Lagos because it's heavily populated. You are going to require more police in Lagos than what you are going to require in a state like Zamfara. And in Lagos now, the taxes that are being collected from the people will now be used to fund the state police. They will not be requiring funds from the federal.
Okay.
So that whatever you make in your state, you now use it to fund. If you need more police, then that means you have to get more fund. If you have more people coming to your state, then you have to get more police people to. All right,
Mr. Ekundayo, I did say that the president mentioned this, that state police is now unavoidable. It's something we can no longer sweep under the carpet. But here's where I'm going, sir. Right? with how sophisticated and widespread banditry, terrorism, kidnapping for ransom, and other kinds of criminality, with how widespread it's been in different regions of the country, it's state police enough to curb it. Look at Amonteko in the southwest region of the country. Yes, they've been doing their best, but have they been able to really curb all those incidences of criminality, or have we gone beyond the point where state policing can actually help us? Because how well equipped will these state police be? Will they be as well equipped as these bandits and terrorists who come into villages and communities with really sophisticated weapons, with improvised explosive devices and others?
See, let me clarify something. See, no bandit can establish itself, or no enemy can establish itself in an area without the people in that area welcoming or giving the bad, working hand in hand with the bad, with the enemy. So all these people we call bandits, they are the government itself is being fingered. Even the state government are working with many of these bandits. That is why we are having all these issues, because whatever they get them from the federal as their allocation, it's easier for them to say that they have bandits. They spend it on bandits. They spend it on security. So the money disappears. Now, if we have state resource control, then leave your state now to be ravaged by bandits, by terrorists and bandits. I'll see how you can run your government when your people are running away from your state and you cannot generate your resources, so that those bandits will become a forgotten thing. So when you have this resource control at the state, that state police will not be able to monitor everybody in their state, that monitor the boundaries of their state.
Okay.
Now, the way I run my own state is different from the way you run your state. So if governor of Zamfara now is encouraging bandits, and the neighboring state is not encouraging it, and people leave Zamfara and move to the neighboring state, then the Zamfara governor will not have money to fund his government, and people will vote him out. People will protest against that. That is why if we do that, it will work, because each police will maintain its boundary. It will be difficult for you to compromise, because people will see you clearly. That you are the one causing the problem.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Akunda. I want to quickly talk about the former aviation minister, Hadi Sirika, claiming that the Nigerian Air project is not a scam and that due process was followed. I don't know if you followed his interview on a television program that was yesterday. He was having a conversation with the interviewers, and he said that it was not a scam. In fact, he said the current aviation minister, Festus Keyamo, said about Nigeria having to spend over $100 million paying to Ethiopian Air in 3 years is a lie, and that the money that was even spent on the Nigerian Air was not more than 5 billion, of which he left over 1 billion in the coffers of the aviation ministry when he was leaving. Up till now, we are not even seeing the national carrier working. So when Hadi Sirika says it's not a scam, what exactly does it mean? And the EFCC is investigating him for fraud. He's been accused of awarding multi-billion naira contracts to companies that are owned by his family members, including his daughter and his son-in-law. If Hadi Sirika says Nigerian Air is not a scam, then where is Nigerian Air? And why is the current aviation minister, the aviation ministry, unable to show us anything on it?
They can as well tell us that the NNPC, the refinery issue is not a scam. They can as well tell us that. Is that what they were telling us? That it's not a scam. We are saying something is not a scam, and people don't see what you have spent money on. They can't see it. They don't see your presentation. Nothing to present, and they are telling us it's not a scam. And Nigerians, we are not fool now. We saw what happened. So it's not about what they say. It's about reality. It's what we see physically. It's not what they say by the word of mouth. It's what if they know that it's not a scam, they can publish it now. They can go on air, go to the popular newspaper and publish everything for us, so that we'll now look at it. If they know that thing is not a scam. Amocho.
Mr. Lawale Kundayo, you are insisting right now that it's a scam, but we do know that this case is currently in court and is left for the EFCC to actually prove the allegations against him. Now, one of the allegations is that the EFCC is saying that Hadi Sirika split a federal aviation contract worth 2.7 billion naira. He bypassed regulatory approvals. He awarded them to family-controlled companies. On that, he didn't really say much. All he said was that they followed due process in the establishment of the Nigerian Air, right? Now, while he was talking about all of this, of course, he veered into politics and then said he's not part of any coalition to unseat President Tinubu. Some Nigerians are seeing this as virtue signaling to say, look, I work with Buhari, I'm still in your camp, please temper justice with mercy.
Why is it that everybody who need to clear their name, the next thing they will be doing is to try to, run to the president? They should be allowed the due process. Why should he be mentioning something about the president when you have allegations, you are in court? Why not go ahead and prove yourself in court? They are telling us about, we saw what happened. Even that case of the airline, the minister in Ethiopia now, the man faced justice in that place, and he was removed because of what he did in Nigeria. That Ethiopian airline that was branded in Nigerian this thing. So the thing is this. We Nigerians are not fools. We have seen what is happening. We see what is happening. Now, many times in which we see people being investigated for corruption, and eventually it doesn't come out to anything. Where people already see that this person, there are incriminating evidences against this person, individual, and they will delay stocks up until the end. The court will just clear the person or whatever. And then that is.
So you believe is virtue signaling when he visits the president, or he's trying to say that he's still in the camp of the president, he's not in the camp of the opposition. He's trying to signal so that they can temper justice with mercy for him.
Yes, yes. Now that is it, because I don't know how that come into play. Well, even when you talk about corruption, there are rules and regulations that in the office you hold. There are rules and regulations that you need to follow. If you don't follow those rules and regulations pertaining to your job, it is called corruption. So it's not necessarily when you steal. If you give contract to your son, or you sell part of the something that belongs to the organization to your relation, that is corruption, because it's not part of the rules and regulations. It's not part of your job description. How you run that office, it's not part of it. The moment you do something outside the rules and regulation of that office which you occupy, that is corruption. So money stolen, the misuse of the office, giving contract to your children, or selling part of maybe land to your children that belongs to the organization, all of those ones are part of corruption. Everything summed together is what we refer to as corruption. So stealing is part of corruption. But corruption goes beyond stealing. It goes to the misuse of the office. It goes to the misuse of, excuse me, it goes to the misuse of the rules and regulation of the office. It goes to the misuse of power of the office. So if you have allegations that has to do with corruption, you face it. You face it. That's what we expect.
All right. Well, he's currently facing it. Some people will tell you that the fact that the EFCC even went after him at all, even though it's not exactly about Nigerian Air, but over allegations of fraud, is to show that this current administration is very transparent and they have nothing to hide and they are not shielding anyone. Wouldn't you agree with that?
No. I don't agree with that statement, because when you go after somebody and then you stop midway, you did not finish it. You have not done anything now. Okay, we have the case of this former governor of Kogi. What's his name? I keep forgetting his name.
That's Yaya Bello.
Yes. You know how people begin to up top before FCSC eventually charge him to take him to court. Now they are in court. You are seeing all these delays, and you see the same man talking here and there as if everything is fine. You look calm. See, where every evidence is pointing it that he was corrupt in office. Now you can see the way when you start a case, that doesn't mean that everybody should go to you. You have not solved that until the judgment, until the end. So many of these corruption cases stop in the middle. Some of them we have not seen the end of it. Some of them can take years before. So these are the issues. We want a fast-tracked judgment, judiciary, about all these things, so that it doesn't drag long. When you have a case against somebody, like EFCC now has a case against somebody and the person is in court, it shouldn't take because before you go to court, you must have had all your evidences. It shouldn't take less than something like less than 6 months. You should have concluded it now. It's not a murder case. It's not a rape case. It's a case of corruption, which is either you do it or you did not do it. It's so glaring. So the moment EFCC goes to court, we know that they already have all their evidences. So there's no point that they will not be able to pursue it to the end. But we see a stalking of justice in which it takes a long time before we see to the end. It takes years. So I don't see that as justice, because justice delayed is justice denied. So when you take somebody to court, we have not seen justice until the end of that case. That is what I have to say about that.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Lawale Kundaya. Let's now talk politics, right? The Buhari organization, TBO, they are the political structure that came out of the Congress for Progressive Change. That's the CPC, which was Buhari's party before it was incorporated, before it became part of the APC. They have come out to openly and blatantly support President Tinubu's re-election in 2027. There have been speculations of which politician will these people, which presidential candidate will this bloc support for the 2027 elections. They've come out to say, look, they are going with President Tinubu and not even any other northern politician who comes out before 2027. We know that Atiku has said repeatedly that he would contest in 2027. Peter Obi has come out to say the same thing. But are you surprised by this endorsement, though, or was that to be expected?
And now it's expected because it has been a while, and people have been talking about it. That where did they belong? Are they working against the president? So everybody is doing their consultation. They can come on here and say whatever everybody wants to say, but the common masses of the Nigeria will decide the direction. That is why we are talking about the reformation of INEC. We are talking about they should fast track the reformation of INEC in such a way that people can have confidence in the election that INEC conducts. So the issue of whether they go to the president or not is that is political. Everybody is trying to show every other person that these people support me or I support these people. It could be some other negotiations underground. Other people are doing the negotiations. Things will still take another dimension towards the end of the election. By the time it's getting towards the election, you see the different reorganization that will take place in the political scene. So all this one is still the formality that everybody is following. No, it will, by next year, so by the middle of next year, we'll see the direction of where everybody is going. Thank you.
So you believe that they might change their decision before that time, before the middle of next year?
Yes, now. It's possible.
Still talking politics and the opposition in Nigeria. You do know that the former Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Federation under the Buhari administration, that is Abubakar Malami, was attacked by political thugs in Kebbi State. There have been speculations and reports that he may be joining the Kebbi State governorship race. You know that he recently left the APC and joined the ADC, and he seems to be the one actually consolidating the structure of the ADC in Kebbi State. Now, the Obedient movement has come out to say that opposition politicians are paying people to spread propaganda against Peter Obi ahead of the 2027 elections. We know that many people in Nigeria believe that politics is a dirty game. We know that sometimes they play the politics of mudslinging and digging up what has been buried for so long in order to just rub mud on someone and show that they are not the best candidate that Nigerians should vote for. But going to the extent of sponsoring political thugs, because Malami accused the APC of sponsoring those people, or going to the extent of paying people to spread fake news. Meanwhile, we're actually trying to combat fake news and false information in Nigerian media. Is that really how to play politics? Or do we just take it as this is Nigerian politics and that's just how it is?
Why do we, anytime we say Nigerian politics, what we mean by this is that it is something that is not normal, but we take it like that. That's why we use the word Nigerian politics. It means that something like this cannot happen in a normal society, but in Nigeria, it is happening. That's why we use the word Nigerian politics, to differentiate it from the normal politics that is happening in in the world, in a civilized, normal country in the world. In Nigeria, it is different. That's why we use the word Nigerian politics, and that's why you see things like this. Malami was part of the former government of APC. So we know so many cases were stored here and there. They name all this Boko Haram sponsor. He didn't do that. We know, so many things. It was a Igboho case. We know now he's in the opposition. He says he's part of the opposition. So the same instrument that he was part of the former government that they were using is the same instrument that they are using against him now. So that is own case. I'm not going to say anything because it's what he throws at people, they are throwing back at him. So you should just take it like that. Because it's part of the problem that we face in this country. It was the Attorney General, and we know what they did then. Now, that is that. Now, the case of Peter Obi, we know that Peter Obi kind of have his own niche. He has his own niche. He has his own world, separate from the general typical Nigerian style of politicians. So he has his own antecedent that he uses in running, and they see him as a threat. So the more they attack him, the more popular the man becomes. That is what I see. Because people, when they attack him, people begin to ask for evidences of the allegations they present against him, and there's no evidence. So they keep seeing him, every time they attack him, in the eyes of people, he looks like a victim of Nigerian typical politicians. So that is what I see about his own area. Thank you.
Let's quickly talk about insecurity in Nigeria before you go, Mr. Lawal Ekundayo. Now, Madi Shehu has come out to blast El-Rufai over his comment of the current administration paying bandits and terrorists. He came out to say that El-Rufai is guilty of hypocrisy over these comments. He said it is ironic that the former governor of Kaduna State will criticize the current governor and the national security advisor for making payment when El-Rufai himself once admitted that he had made payment to bandits. He talked about a report that said El-Rufai's administration tracked armed headsmen in neighboring countries and provided compensation to HOTS to stop attacks in Kaduna State.
I like the way everything is flowing out now. I like the way the truth is coming out now. El-Rufai said his own, what he knows, the information he has that he's been hiding, he's been withholding, he's saying it openly. And others who have information are saying his own too. It's very good. But the problem I have is that if we can have a government who can work on this information and be able to do the right thing, that is the major headache I have. That's the major headache. If he has paid bandits before and they see that what he did is wrong, and they should take it up against him now. He doesn't have any immunity to be arrested now or to be questioned. The same thing with this one. Now, that he is saying, and what he is saying, I don't think anything wrong about what he's saying. He's just giving a direction that, this thing that you are doing is not the appropriate thing you are doing. They should ask him, okay, how should we do it? Instead of attacking him as if what they are doing, that is, when that allegation it came up against the government, that what that allegation is something they should do. No, that is why they are telling everybody to give them advice to assist the government. So if the man, that is El-Rufai, is saying things like this, they should ask him for a better way not to do it now.
You want this administration to go and ask El-Rufai what they should do about insecurity?
Yeah, since he said that you are paying bandits or this and that, you should not do that. It is wrong. And then they should ask him for advice. Okay, what should we do?
But if indeed El-Rufai paid the bandits while he was governor of Kaduna State, does he have a right to criticize this administration for allegedly doing the same?
Yes, maybe he tried it in his own time, it didn't work. And somebody else is doing it and he saw that during my own time, it didn't work. Yeah, for that thing you are doing, it's not going to have a headway. Stop doing it. It could be he's saying that. That's why I said if what he did then was wrong, and the government administration, the president, we have a new administration, and they should investigate him now and see whether what he did then was wrong. Is it a crime to investigate? That's why we have all this investigative apparatus in the government. They should investigate him now. Investigate El-Rufai and see whether what he did then was wrong. If it was wrong, then take him to court. Otherwise, what he's saying about this present government, they should listen to him and find a way to make something better instead of attacking him. If he says that what you are doing is wrong, that is his own opinion. And then if you investigate that, and you can ask him, okay, do you have a better way by which we can do it? Maybe the man has a better way. Then he'll be able to give you. But this attack, I don't understand. If anybody says something, the next thing they do is to attack the person. Anything, if you say something that is unpleasant to the government, the next thing they do is to start attacking you. Can't we give advice to the government? Can't we give our comments, opinion, our observation?
Well, in Erufai's case is a little different because, he supported President Tinubu before, during, and after the elections, and we all saw what happened and how he was rejected for the ministerial position and what he's been saying since then. But Mr. Lawale Kundayo, thank you so much for joining me on The World News at 12 today. I do appreciate you.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day. You have been listening to The World News at 12, right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. We'll now take the news from our sister station in the FCT, Voice of the People, 96.1 FM, Abuja.
Good afternoon. Here are the major news. I am Folashayo Adigun. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has officially launched the construction of a state-of-the-art multi-event sports center in Kafi District, Abuja. The foundation-laying ceremony was attended by the Minister of State, Ajia Maria Mahmood Bunkuri. Speaking at the event, Minister Wike emphasized that sport has evolved beyond just fitness, becoming a significant driver of economic growth. He highlighted that the project will empower young people, create jobs, and contribute to diversifying the economy of the FCT. The new sports center is expected to be a hub for various sporting activities, providing opportunities for athletes and promoting a healthy lifestyle among residents. The Federal Capital Territory Administration has taken decisive action regarding the disputed River Park estate in Abuja. FCT Minister Nyesom Wike has approved corrective measures, declaring the development lease agreement void and ordering the withdrawal of all undeveloped plots within the estates. This decision follows the recommendations of a committee set up to investigate the crisis and propose reforms. The committee's report highlighted breaches of the lease agreements, unauthorized allocations, and irregular titles. The controversies surrounding River Park Estate have dragged on for years, centering on disputes between Houses for Africa Nigeria Limited and Polo Home Limited. The FCTA's action aims to protect residents and restore administrative order. Students of the University of Abuja have appealed to President Bola Tinubu to reinstate Professor Aisha Maikudi as Vice Chancellor of the institution. The students, under the banner of Concerned University of Abuja students, praised her leadership qualities and transformative initiatives during her brief tenure as acting Vice Chancellor. They argued that her removal has left a void and that many staff and students yearn for continuity. The students highlighted Professor Maikudi's achievements, including reforms that improved discipline, infrastructure, research, and student welfare. The student statements signed by Ozigi Salami described Maikudi's tenure as widely celebrated across the academic community for bold reforms, inclusive governance, and visionary steps that repositioned the institution. The appeal emphasizes that leadership is about vision, transformation, and impact, and that Maikudi's brief tenure left an indelible mark on the university's history. I am Folashayo Adigun.
And that was the news from our sister station, Voice of the People, 96.1 FM, Abuja. Thank you for staying with us on the World News at 12. Just before we wrap up, let's take a look at the top stories again. You heard that North Korea and Russia have joined China's military parade against the United States. Police arrest Lakurawa bandit as troops killed 20 terrorists across the northeast. President Tinubu confirms plan to establish state police And Hadi Sirika claims Nigeria Air project not a scam as due process was followed. And that is a wrap on the World News at 12. My name is Chioma Innocent. Please follow our social media handles at VOP903FM. Good afternoon and thank you for listening.
Voice of the People 90.3 FM.
From the views on the street,
we go to bed empty hunger,
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a meaning.